Fin Mali, in a sandy neighborhood on the outskirts of Bamako. Two houses stood facing each other across a narrow road. Every evening, women sat outside, sorting rice. Children chased old bicycle tires with sticks. The call to prayer drifted through the warm air. In one house lived Aïssata, in the other lived Moussa. They grew up under the same sun, drank water from the same well, walked to the same school, but they were built differently. By the time they were 10, the neighborhood had already decided who they were. Aïssata feels too much. Moussa, that boy is strong, like a baobab. No one asked whether either child had chosen that identity. One evening, Aïssata sat beside her mother in the courtyard, helping pick stones out of rice. Her father arrived home later than usual. He didn't slam the gate, he didn't shout. He simply sat down heavily. Aïssata felt it immediately. She leaned toward her mother and whispered, "Papa is worried." Her mother smiled faintly. "Eat your food." But Aïssata watched him the whole meal, the way he barely touched his plate, the way his shoulders curved inward. After dinner, she found him sitting alone. "Papa," she said softly, "are you okay?" He looked surprised. Of course, she didn't believe him. That night, she cried quietly on her mat. Not because anyone had hurt her, but because she felt something heavy in the air. She carried emotions that were not hers. At 14, during a literature class, she presented a poem she had written. Her voice trembled, but her words were beautiful. When she finished, the room was quiet. Then a boy in the back muttered, "Too dramatic." The class laughed lightly. It wasn't cruel, but it pierced. After school, she walked home quickly. Moussa caught up to her. "Why are you walking like someone is chasing you?" he asked. They laughed, so he shrugged. People laugh. It wasn't just laughing. He looked confused. What else was it? She stopped walking. It was dismissal. He stared at her. It was just noise, he said. To him, it truly was. To her, it was judgment echoing in her chest. That evening, her older aunt visited. When she saw Aïssata quiet at dinner, she shook her head. "This one," she said, tapping Aïssata's forehead gently. "Her heart is too open. The world is not soft." Aïssata lowered her eyes. She wondered if she needed to close it. Moussa's father believed in toughness. "If someone pushes you," he once said, "while repairing a bicycle tire, you push back harder." When Moussa came home with a scraped knee from football, his father didn't fuss. "Good," he said. "That means you tried." At school, when a teacher scolded him for talking, Moussa simply nodded. He didn't replay it later. He didn't analyze tone. He absorbed impact and moved on. One afternoon, Aïssata saw him get shoved during a football match. The other boy called him stupid. Moussa stood up, brushed dust off his shorts, and scored the next goal. That evening, sitting outside, Aïssata asked, "Didn't that bother you?" What?" he said. Moussa laughed. "If I stopped for every insult, I would never run." She studied him carefully. "Don't you ever feel hurt?" He hesitated, just a second. Then he said, "No." But that wasn't entirely true. When Moussa's older brother, Ibrahim, left for work in another country, the whole family gathered before dawn. His mother cried openly. His father stood straight. Moussa clapped his brother's back. "Bring us gifts," he joked. When the bus disappeared in a cloud of dust, everyone went inside quietly. That night, Moussa lay awake. He remembered how Ibrahim used to help him with homework, how they shared jokes no one else understood. His chest felt tight. But instead of tears, he punched his pillow once and turned away. The next morning, he acted normal. At breakfast, Aïssata asked gently, "You miss him?" Moussa shrugged. "He'll call." She nodded slowly. She saw what he wouldn't say. Years later, heavy rains flooded parts of Bamako. Water rose fast along the Niger. Families scrambled to save what they could. Aïssata volunteered at a temporary shelter. Moussa joined a team, moving supplies. They found themselves working side by side in chaos. A woman sat on the ground, crying over soaked photographs. Aïssata knelt immediately. "Tell me about them," she said softly. The woman began describing each picture: a wedding, a child's first steps, a father now gone. Aïssata listened fully, absorbing every word. Across the room, Moussa stacked sacks of rice with efficiency. "Where do you want these?" he called out. Later, a teenage boy exploded in anger, shouting that no one was helping fast enough. Volunteers stepped back. Moussa stepped forward. "Shouting won't fix it," he said firmly. "Tell me what you need." The boy's voice broke. "My grandmother is still inside the house." Without hesitation, Moussa grabbed 2 others and ran. Hours later, soaked and exhausted, they returned with the grandmother safe. That night, Aïssata sat on the curb, overwhelmed. "There's so much pain," she whispered. "I can feel all of it." Moussa sat beside her. "I don't feel it like you do," he admitted. "But when that boy shouted, I felt something." "What?" "Fear." She looked at him. "For her, for him," he said quietly, "because I didn't know how to comfort him." She smiled gently. "You don't have to fix every emotion. Sometimes you just sit beside it." He considered that. "And sometimes," he said, "you don't have to carry every emotion. You can let it pass." She laughed softly. "You're teaching me now, maybe." For the first time, they saw the strength in each other's design. One evening, both families gathered for dinner. After the floods subsided, lantern light flickered. The air smelled of grilled fish. Aïssata's father spoke about rebuilding. "It takes strength," he said, looking at Moussa. Then he turned to his daughter. "And it takes heart." Moussa's mother added quietly, "A tree that never bends will break in a storm." His father nodded slowly. "And water that never stops flowing can shape stone." The adults laughed softly at their metaphors, but the message lingered. Aïssata looked at Moussa. "Maybe we both need to borrow from each other," he grinned. "Just a little." In Mali, the baobab stands firm against the wind. The Niger River bends and adapts. Neither apologizes for its nature. Aïssata stopped trying to harden her heart completely. She learned to feel deeply, but not drown. Moussa stopped pretending. Nothing touched him. He learned to feel without losing his footing. Sensitivity is not weakness. Thick skin is not superiority. The strongest people are those who can sit with grief and still stand when necessary. Those who can hear laughter and decide whether it matters. Under the wide Malian sky, 2 children grew up thinking they were opposites. They discovered they were simply different expressions of strength. And maybe you are too. Sometimes you are the baobab. Sometimes you are the river. Both are needed. Both are powerful. And both live inside you.